Hi, boys and girls. Tonight I am going to read you a book called The Substitute Teacher Plans. Now, a substitute teacher is a teacher that fills in when your teacher's not there. So if I ever couldn't come to school, if I'm sick or I have something to do, can't be there, a substitute teacher will fill in. So let's read about this substitute teacher's plans. Miss Huff looked over her class and sighed deeply. Sarah was sticking out her tongue at Billy. Billy was making faces at Carl. Nancy blew such a big bubble that she floated across the room and got stuck in Francine's hair. Alan was swinging on a rope hooked to the lights, pretending that he was Tarzan, screaming, "Ah!" Greg was growling like a wild animal. "I need a break," Miss Huff moaned. "I need a vacation day." That night, she decided to make up a list of substitute teacher plans and a list of fun things that she could do on her day off. Miss Huff did her substitute teacher plans first. Then she began her list of fun things to do. She got very excited and happily wrote and wiggled through the night. The next morning, a very tired Miss Huff glanced at her two lists. "Oops," she thought. "I forgot to write substitute teacher plans on top of the list." Poor Miss Huff was so exhausted, though, that she wrote it down on her own list of fun things to do. Then Miss Huff drove to school and put the wrong list on her desk for the substitute teacher. A little while later, Miss Huff rushed back home and looked over her list of things to do on her day off. The first activity said, reading, 9:15 to 10:30. "Oh, goody," she chuckled. "I just love to read." Miss Huff plopped down in the chair with a joke book. Before long, she was giggling and laughing and rolling on the floor. Even her cat, Rudy, joined in. Back at school, Mrs. Martin, the substitute teacher, looked down at her list of plans. The first activity said, ride the roller coaster at Ocean Park. Thought Miss Martin. "I'll need a bus to get us there." She called the front office for assistance. Before long, she and the children were buzzing on the gigantic roller coaster with their hands in the air. "Whee!" they screamed. "Yahoo!" laughed Miss Martin in return. At home, sweet Miss Huff set her joke book down and read the next activity on her list. It said writing, 10:30 to 11. "Ah," sighed Miss Huff. "Just what I've been waiting to do." She brought out her address book and began writing to all her relatives and friends. It felt good to stay in touch. She smiled as she wrote. Back at school, Miss Martin looked at her list of plans. The next activity, skydiving. Miss Martin made sure all the children's parachutes were fastened tightly as the plane sliced through the air. "Okay, kids, on the count of 3, we zip out the door, one by one, as quickly as we can. 1, 2, 3, Geronimo!" The children formed a gigantic star. It was a sight to see. At home, sweet Miss Huff looked at her list. It said spelling, 11 to 11:30. She and Rudy played Scrabble. Miss Huff won. Rudy growled. Back at school, Miss Martin gazed at her list of plans. The next activity said scuba diving. It was very exciting for the children to swim in the water with all the marine life. They watched in amazement as the octopus playfully pulled Miss Martin through the water. At home, sweet Miss Huff gazed at her list. The next activity said lunch and recess, 11:30 to 12:30. After eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, Miss Huff played hopscotch with Rudy. Rudy won. Miss Huff growled. Back at school, Miss Martin looked at her list of plans. The next activity said, lunch on a mountaintop and ski down. The bus strained as it climbed the tallest mountain imaginable. It was called the Forever Snow Mountain. After lunch, the children zigged and zagged down the slope, while Miss Martin accidentally set the record for the longest ski jump. All the children clapped when she landed on the ski slope. At home, sweet Miss Huff looked at her list. The next activity said, read book aloud, 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Miss Huff read to Rudy. Rudy purred. Back at school, Miss Martin looked at her list of plans. It said, build a huge sandcastle. When they got to the beach, Miss Martin rented a steam shovel. She and the children created an amazing castle. It was huge. It even had a helicopter landing pad. At home, sweet Miss Huff whispered to herself, I sure feel rested. She looked at her list. The next activity said math, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. I've always loved math. She pulled out her checkbook and paid her bills. She felt wonderful. Back at school, Miss Martin looked at her list of plans and smiled. In no time at all, the children were at the circus. They laughed at the clowns, clapped for the trapeze artists, and gasped at the lion tamer, who just happened to be Miss Martin. That's why Mrs. Martin was such a great substitute teacher. Anybody who could train lions could handle this. At the end of the day, after Mrs. Martin excused the children, she wrote a note to their teacher. Dear Miss Huff, I had a terrific day. You write very good substitute teacher plans. The children were well behaved, much better than the lions. Sincerely, Miss Martin. The next day at school, Miss Huff felt very energetic. She was teaching up a storm until the principal walked in. Miss Huff, I think you have some explaining to do, he said, and he handed her the list. Goodness sakes, said Miss Huff. I need another vacation day. Now, although the children had fun with Miss Martin, they really loved Miss Huff, even if they didn't always show it. Oh, please, Miss Huff, they chorused. Please be here tomorrow. Miss Huff looked at her students, then glanced at the list again and shook her head. She reached for the phone. I would like to make a reservation for acrobatic flight training tomorrow, she said. All the children sighed. For how many? Miss Huff winked. Well, 1 adult and 25 children, and we might as well bring along our principal. The end. Have a good night.